I'm going to model a Shure SM57 microphone, and I already did this and posted on YouTube, and then I realized I created something wrong in the connection, the XLR connection. Somebody pointed that out to me. Didn't even think about it, so I'm going to do it again. Alright, so I'm in the default startup scene of Blender, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hit A to select everything, X and delete everything. I'm going to work, I think, in the front view, so I'm going to hit 1 on my number key and 5. And I'm going to be modeling off of an image, a side view image. So I'm going to hit N, and I'm going to put on my screencast keys so you can see what I'm doing here. And then I'm going to bring in a background image of the microphone. So I'm going to click background image, add image, and open. Go to my reference images. I'm going to choose this one right here, open image. I only want this to show up in the front view, so under axis, all views, I'm going to choose front, and I also want to rotate this by -90 so that it stands upright like that. Okay, so that's what I've got, and I'm going to model this in parts. I'm going to do the main body of the microphone, and then I'm going to do this part with the dots, and then I'm going to do this top part, and then I'll do something for up there as well. Alright, so I'm going to use a cylinder to do this, and it's going to be brought in right where my 3D cursor is, which right now is the center of my stage or world. Shift A, and I'm going to bring in a cylinder, and that is the right orientation for it, so I'm just going to bring it up, and we'll go into edit mode, so object, edit mode, and press Z and go into wireframe mode. Okay, you can also get to wireframe down here. Okay, so now I can see through it. All right, first thing I'll do is I'm going to hit B to box select, and I'm going to press my left mouse button, and I'm going to drag a box around this. So I'm selecting all those vertices, and I'm just going to pull them down to the bottom, near the bottom. All right, and I'll deselect it, I'll box select here, and I'll bring these up a little bit, just like that. Now I want to create this little indentation here, which could potentially be two different parts of the microphone that may be screwed in or joined, or I don't know if it's just a design element, but the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to put in an edge loop, Control R, and you'll see that purple or pink line. I'm going to click to accept, and I'm going to pull my mouse up, and that's going to position it right there. I'm going to switch over to edge selection. You don't have to, but it just looks nicer to me to do this. Alright, so I've got that edge selected all the way around. And you can see when I move away from front view, I no longer see the background image. So I'll hit 1 again. And I'm still in orthographic view. I'm going to go Control B and pull back. And that's going to create that blue area there. I'm going to roll my mouse up 1, and that's going to put in one line or one more edge loop there. Click to accept and A to deselect. I'll zoom in a bit, and I'm going to grab this part here. Actually, before I do any of that, I'm now thinking maybe I'm going to scale. I'm going to hit A to select it all, and I'm going to hit S for scale. I'm going to bring it. No, maybe I don't want to do it that way. Do I want to do it that way? Yeah, why not? Bring it in just to that position there. Deselect, vertex mode. Grab that, and I just want it a little narrower now that I think about it. Bring it up to there, and I'm not going to worry about the base size yet. I'm going to be working on that in a minute. Okay, deselect. Now I'm just going to grab all these points here. I'm just going to pull them back up to the middle. Okay, now we're ready to go. Edge select mode. I'm going to Shift Alt and click, and now we'll select it all the way around. And I'm going to press S to scale. And I'm going to pull that in. Let's go and have a look at that in solid view, and that's what I've got so far. I'm going to do a bit of work on that, and I will be soon. Back to front view, edit mode, and wireframe. Now it's time to taper it a little bit. So what I'll do is in vertex mode, and I'm just going Control Tab to bring that up, but you could do it down here. You click on there, box select all of these, and I'm going to hit S to scale, and I'm going to pull them in like that. I'm not going to worry about any rounding right now. Okay, that only tapered the bottom half because I had these edge loops here, so it stopped the tapering right at this first line. That's perfect. This is exactly what I wanted. All right, let's come up to the top region here and box select this. I'll pull it up a little bit more. No, I won't actually. I'm going to make that curve. Okay, I'm going to hit E to extrude, and I'm going to bring it up. And I'm going to hit S to scale a little bit, like that. E to extrude, bring it up, and I'll scale it a bit more. And actually, I think I'll scale it even more. We'll bring it right in like that. E to extrude, and we'll come up for this part right there, and we'll stop it right there. It's not going to look exactly like the microphone, but it's going to look like a microphone, hopefully. Okay, let's save this. Let's call this Shure SM57 video. Yeah. Did I spell that right? Nah, good enough. Oh, I've already got one. Actually, let's make it look a little bit better. Shure SM57 video. You'll notice it's red because I did one yesterday, like I say. I'll make it video too. There we go. So we're all good. By the way, I'll just mention that as I've had problems in the past, I'm still having some computer issues, and it might crash while I'm doing this. And so I'm going to do this in little bursts, and I'm going to save, and I'll keep going. I'll try to put it all together in the final video. Alrighty, let's go ahead and put on a subdivision surface to make this nice and smooth. Come over to the wrench, add modifier, subdivision surface, and 2. Okay, let's go into this and Control R to add an edge loop and bring it close to there, but not right there. Control R, and I'll bring up another edge loop right there, and then we'll have a look at that crease and we'll see how it's looking. Of course, we can put on smoothing as well, so that looks okay. Maybe I'll actually bring it a little bit closer there, and this one a little bit closer there. Okay, that looks good. Now the rest of this looks like some kind of vegetable, so let's go ahead and work on that. Control R, I'm going to bring that down to near the bottom there. Let's actually work on the bottom. I'm going to go into face select mode. I'm going to grab this face, and I'm going to delete that face. And then in edge selection, I'm going to shift alt click that edge there. Let's hit the period key to zoom in on that and sort of center it there. I'm going to hit E to extrude, S to scale. I'm going to pull it in a little bit like that. That's okay. And then E to extrude, and I'm going to pull it up a ways. And we'll have a look at that. I might want to tighten that up a little bit. Let's think about that for a second here. Let's maybe put some edge loops here. Control R, and I'll put an edge loop here, and I'll put one here. That looks a little nicer. Okay, let's save. Okay, now I'm going to go back into edit mode, and in edge selection, I'm going to shift alt click that edge there, and I'm going to hit F to make a face. And I'll deselect. I want to stay in edge. So I want to stay in edit, but I want to go to face select. I'm going to grab that face. Now it's going to look weird. That's just because I got the subdivision surface on. Otherwise, it would look like that. And I could do it like that. I actually want to break this apart. I want to take it away from the microphone. I want to use it separately. So I'm going to hit P and just enter on selection. Now I'm going to go ahead and put the subdivision surface back on, and I'm going to select that piece. Now you'll notice that you don't see the transform. That's because it was part of the microphone and the origin is still up there. I'm going to set origin to geometry because this is a new object. I'm going to bring it down there. While we're at it, let's get rid of this grid floor. Hit N, and under display, come off grid floor. And actually, while we're at it as well, why don't we in shading add ambient occlusion just for later, and it'll look a little nicer. Okay, now this piece has the subdivision surface. This one inherited it. I shut it off. I don't actually want it, so I'm going to hit let's get rid of that. So I'm going to go into edit mode, select this, and go E to extrude, and I'm going to pull it up a little ways. Now I can't tell for sure if I went the wrong way. I think I did because I get this weird coloration on my polys. So I'm going to hit A to select it all, and watch the color. Control N. There. I flipped all my polys so that they're facing the right direction, facing outwards. I'm going to pull that inside there. All right, now I still have smoothing on this. I could turn it off and it'll look a little bit better. I don't need smoothing on there, and that should be just fine. Now let's create the male prongs that come out of this to go into the mic cable. All right. Last time I did this, I actually made like female, like holes in this, 3 holes, and then somebody pointed out I did it wrong. Of course, I should know that being a singer, shouldn't I? Anyways, I'm going to bring in. I don't know how I'm going to do this exactly. I'm going to try it with a cylinder. All right, and I want to bring in my cylinder right at that spot. But my 3D cursor's up there, so if I was to go Shift A, bring a cylinder, it's going to show up right there. I mean, I could just move it down, but just as a good practice, I'm going to select my object, Shift S, cursor to selected. Okay, so Shift S, cursor to selected. Now my 3D cursor's there, so when I bring in a cylinder, it shows up right at the bottom. I'm going to scale it down nice and small. Hit the period key to zoom in on this, and let's see. Actually, going to move it out a ways, and actually going to scale it in Z. Because I'm scaling this in object mode, it's not. If I come over here, just watch this for these scale. Watch these numbers. These numbers are all kind of weird. I'm going to go Control A and apply scale, and they go back to 1. They're sort of initialized. All right, whatever. Edit mode. I'm going to grab this face here, and I'm going to bevel this down. Control B, and I'm going to round it up like that. I'm just going to see if that's going to create a nice rounded enough prong for me. Okay, let's try edge split as well. Okay, let's. I think I want this thinner but not shorter yet. So I'm going to go S, scale, Shift Z, not in the Z. So it's like saying scale but not in Z. Scale, Shift Z, and just a little bit thinner like that. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, that's all right. So now, make sure origin geometry on that thing. Just trying to figure out, remember where these are placed, so that I don't make the same mistake again. Have a look at a microphone. Okay, this is the nice AKG mic that I used to sing with. So if I look in the bottom, all right, what I see is one of these. Okay, put it this way. 7 is the top view. Control 7 is the exact bottom view. So that's going to go down close to the edge there. And then I'm going to Shift D, duplicate it, and bring it up here. And how close to the middle? Very close to the middle position. And over here, let's see how far they're spread out. Almost equidistant, really. I can almost spin these, but I'm not going to worry about that. I'll try that there, and then I will, by the way, apply that edge split there on both of these. I'm going to mirror this one, mirror with respect to this piece, because my 3D cursor is right in the middle, it mirrors it right across. Let's have a look at those. And let me see how far they come out. They could be a little thinner as well, but I mean, this is just a stylized model. I'm not going to worry too much about that. Actually, I might want to move these up a little bit. Okay, I'm going to apply that mirror and origin geometry. In fact, I'll select all of them and join them together, and then set origin as geometry and save. Okay, so they're about there. That's fine. Now there is one more piece in there. I'm sure you can't see it there. It's a little Control 7, a little rectangle piece there. So let's try making that. Shift S, Shift. Was that Shift S or was that Shift A? What did I do there? Shift A. Bring in a cube. I'll scale it down. How wide is it? It's a little bit wider than that. It's about kind of like that. Scale it in the Y. Maybe a little bit less wide. And scale in the Z as well. I'm just going to use this actually to push a hole in here. All right, to do a Boolean. It's debatable if I want to round these corners just a tiny bit. I think I do. I think it's a nice thing to do. I hit the period key to zoom right in. I'm going to cut a hole with this, but I don't want the hole to be like extremely sharp. I'd like it to have a little bit of curvature. But because I've scaled this and I'm going to bevel it, to make my bevel work a bit better, I'm going to apply scale again. Control A, or you can get to that. Let's get that out of the way. You can get to that by coming down to Object, Apply, Scale. All right, I'm going to go into Edit Mode, and in Edge Selection, I'm going to Shift and click that edge, that edge, that edge. So I'm holding Shift and I'm clicking, so I'm adding to my selection. Just those. Control B, pull back, and roll my mouse up, say twice. I just need a small amount of curvature on this rectangle. All right, let's push it in. Doesn't have to go in that far. Okay, so I'm going to perform a Boolean. So I'm going to select the piece that I want to cut, and I'm going to go Add Modifier, Boolean, Difference, and with the eyedropper, I'm going to select that object. Apply. Now you might see a faint white line there, which means it worked. I know that it worked. I'm just going to hide that for now. And notice that my hole has some curvature to it. But I'm not done with that. I'm going to save that. I'm going to try to bevel those actual outer edges. I'm holding Shift and Alt. Notice that, and I'll do it again. If I hold Shift and Alt and I click, and then I click, I had to do it in a couple of clicks because I've got some cuts here. And we'll see if I can bevel this or not. Just that outer edge. So let's go Control B, pull back. It's looking good. 1, 2, just like that. And what I get is you know, a bit of a beveled edge here. Now it's not looking overly smooth, but I'm not going to see it up close. All right, so I'm satisfied with that. So I'm going to bring back Alt H this piece, and I'm going to use this. I'm going to I'll just do not scale it in the Y, so it looks like it fits in this hole, and scale in the X, make it a little bit smaller than the hole, and I think I'll scale it in the Z as well, and I'll push it down in like that. And you know what? Before I do that, I'm going to apply scale, and maybe I'll try to bevel this top edge, and it'll look a little bit better. So Shift Alt and click on the edge, and I got the whole thing in one. All right, let's go Control B, pull back, and give it a couple of segments by rolling your mouse up, and then I get a bit of a bevel. I'll pull that down again like that, and I'll try smoothing. That looks okay. And then I get that. Okay, from a distance, it would look like that. Now, does that look like it? Sort of. All right. Yeah, why not? Maybe I want it sticking out a tiny bit more. It's all the same. Okay, let's try taking this and these. Control J, joining them. Let's just hide this and make sure this is one piece, right? Okay, Alt H everything, come on back. Okay. Still think these might be a little bit thick, but that's okay. Now, I am going to save at this point, and then we'll be right back. Cool. All right, we're ready for the next part. We're going to work on the dots here. Let's come back to this. Okay, this section right here. All right, so what I think I want to do is I want to bring my 3D cursor up to this face, which I'm likely going to be deleting, but for the moment I'll just go Shift S, cursor to select it. Go back into object mode and hit 1. Okay, my 3D cursor is there because I'm going to bring in an object. I'm going to start working on this. All right, so the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to create a separate object. I'm going to use a plane, and then I'm going to punch a bunch of holes through that plane with a cylinder, and I'm going to array it, and then I'm going to use a curve modifier to wrap it around. It may not go down and then in like that. I think it's going to be a relatively straight piece around, but hopefully it'll still look okay, look like a microphone. So I'm going to go Shift A, bring in a plane. I'm going to rotate X 90, and I'm going to scale it. And I want to get it reasonably the same size, so that I don't have to scale it a lot with holes already in it. Okay, but it can be a little bit bigger. That's okay. Something like that. Okay, from up there to down there. You really wanted to, you could make it a bit smaller, I suppose. Okay, cool. Now, I'm going to bring this by hitting M. I'm going to bring it to another layer. So M, and then click on a new layer, and it's gone from here, but there's a dot down here. It's on the other layers. This makes it a little bit easier to work on. If I wanted to scale it here, I could. Let's actually bring the cursor, the 3D cursor, right to this object. So go Shift-S, cursor to selected, and we'll zoom in a little bit. We'll go into this object, edit mode, and go Heat Extrude, and just give it a little bit of thickness, just like that. Okay? I'm going to select it all, and I'm going to subdivide this a number of times. I'm going to hit W and choose Subdivide, W, Subdivide, W, Subdivide. That should be enough. Okay? I want to subdivide it because I'm going to be bending this around in a circle, and in order to bend you need a lot of polys. If you just had one poly and I arrayed it, every time it bent it would be sharper corners. I want it as smooth as I can get it, and I'm not going to be putting a subdivision surface on this. And the reason I'm not is because I'm going to be punching a bunch of holes in this, and I'm not that good at punching holes in sub D surfaces. I can do it for a cell phone, 1 or 2 holes, but a lot of holes, I don't know. Okay, so there it is. Let's go back to 1. I'm now going to bring in a cylinder and scale it down. Let's rotate X90, and we're going to scale it some more. Nice and small. And then scale it in the Y. Nice and big so that it pokes through. And hit 1 again. The holes are not going to be the exact right size, but that's fine. Because I've scaled it and I guess I rotate, I'm going to go Control A, rotation, and scale. Now, I don't know if you saw, there was a color change right there. Some of my polys have flipped, so I'm going to select it all and go Control N, and now all the polys are calculated outside. All right, let's position this roughly where we'd want this. Now, there's a couple of things about doing it this way. You'll see when I start to put on an array. So let's do that. Let's go to Add Modifier Array in the X direction. So let's increase the spacing. And let's start adding some. Say I do it like that. Now, obviously, I don't want it going over the edge. I'm going to do that. What I want, I'm going to do one more. I'm going to scale it down, scale them down a little bit. I'm going to show you something. Because I'm going to have a number of these panels with holes joined together, I want to try and have this end right here, the distance between this cylinder and the end, half the distance of this distance, so that if I put another one on here, actually let me move these over a bit. Okay, imagine another one attached on, half the distance, and half the distance is equal to this distance roughly. All right, I'm not doing this scientifically, so it doesn't really matter that much, but that's fine. Those are going through, so I'm going to just hit apply. And then I'm going to add another array, this time in the Z direction. Yes, in the Z direction, blue arrow. Okay, let's get rid of the X. And I'm just going to arbitrarily choose a spacing, and then I'm going to add a number of rows. Maybe that's good enough. All right. Okay, that's going to be fine. I'm going to apply that. I'm going to go origin to geometry. This is now just one object, all these cylinders. Okay. Save and get ready. We're about to do a labor-intensive process. By the way, I should have done this. I want to switch over to cycles render, because then I can come over to here and use my GPU compute. I can use a different, like, I guess my video card power as well. All right, I'm going to do Boolean. Select the plane, go to the wrench, Boolean, difference. The object is the cylinders. Give it time. You see the white lines that showed up there? That means it's worked. Hit apply. Take these. I know it's worked, so I'm just going to delete them and save. All right. I'm now going to take this and I'm going to go array and see how they join up. I can try to merge. Nah, merging is not going to look as good. I'm just going to add a bunch of these. Now, let's also click on this. Okay, let's go to number 1. All right, so I've got my dots on the second layer, but I've selected the first layer so I can see the microphone a bit. You can sort of see how they'll fit in there. I'm going to add a couple of more of these, and we're about to do something cool here. I'm going to go Shift A, go down to Curve, Circle. Now this circle is in the correct orientation as my microphone. So I'm going to scale this down away. So I'm going to hit 7 so I can see the top. And scale it in just a little bit more, back to 1. And I am going to use this curve to determine the bending of this. And I will likely need more segments here, more count. So select by planes with the holes. I'm not applying the array yet. In fact, I'm going to close this for now so you can see it. Add modifier, curve. All right, right down here, there's the curve modifier. But I need to choose an object that I want to curve this with. So with the eyedropper, I'm going to select that. And notice this is curved around. I am now going to go back to the array and start adding more segments. Now this is going to up my vertice count, my poly count. I'm going to come around. All right, now I think at this point what I will do is I'll select the curve and I'm going to scale this curve just a little bit. And if it goes too quick, I'm going to hold Shift to make it go slower. Now this is a very small detail. You're not going to see any join from way back there, so I'm not going to worry about merging anything or deleting polys at the end. I'm going to leave it like that. So I'm going to go back to my array, and I'm going to open up both of them, and I'm going to apply the array, apply the curve, find the curve, and delete it, and save. And I'm going to save the video because I've jumped up in my poly count, my vertice count, quite a bit, and I don't want my computer to crash. Not that it should. I'm just going to position these a little bit more to where I would want them. So I'm going to save, and then we'll keep going. All right, let's keep going. Let's go back to 1. Actually, I'm going to take this, take it back. Let's move this down to the first layer. All right, but let's hide it because it, I could have left it on that other layer. It takes a while to render that. All right, so this is what we have so far, number 1. I've got that piece in there. Let's do the top piece. I think I'm going to do this all in one piece of a cylinder. Maybe I'll taper that, and then that'll be straight. Yeah, we'll do something like that. Okay, my 3D cursor's right there. That's good enough. So Shift A. Let's bring in a. Don't forget to go to Mesh. Okay, out of Curve, Mesh, Cylinder. Let's bring that up to about there. Let's go into Edit Mode and Wireframe and Vertex. Have a little peek at this. Okay, let's box select these, and we'll scale them in like this, and move them down a bit. That's fine. Deselect. Let's box select down here. Pull that up to maybe there. We'll scale that in. I think what I want to do is I'm going to straighten that out a bit. Maybe I'm going to put an edge loop in here, and maybe I'm going to scale these in a bit to straighten them just a little bit like that. So I got that kind of effect. Okay, now maybe what we'll do is we'll grab this edge loop and we'll position it there. Maybe I'll do a similar thing as I did before. Control B, bevel, put in one edge, deselect, make sure we're not edge we were, and not that one. This middle, no, not that one either. The middle one, and we'll scale in a little bit. And then maybe I'll grab this edge and this edge, Shift Alt and click, and scale in the Z and just bring that in so it's not as defined, just a little bit of a gap between them. Let's see what that looks like. You know, that kind of thing. So this piece is a little bit straighter and this one's a little bit more tapered. Okay, so far so good. Let's go to face selection. Let's grab that face and Shift click that one, and let's delete those faces. Okay, back to 1 and let's look in wireframe. I need another edge loop right here. I'll just bring it down. I'm not going to worry about tapering or using edge slide. Just going to do that. Okay, cool. Now, back in the solid view. So here's what I want in face selection. I am going to Shift Alt and click right here on this line, and I'm going to get all of these polys selected. But I want to create those bars with a little bit of space in between, like this. Deselect that. Okay, that one and that one and that one and that one and that one, and with some space in between. So I'm going to Shift Alt and click all of them. Let's get out of wireframe. Out of wireframe, I said. Make sure I got them all. Okay. So the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to come down to Select, and I'm going to choose Check or Deselect. And I'm going to leave the default values because that gives me every other one. And I'm going to hit X and delete those faces. And then I got just that, which is just what I want. Hit A to select it all, and I'm going to extrude. I'm going to extrude inwards to give some thickness. And then I'm going to scale, but I'm not going to scale the normal way. I'm going to scale a different way. Well, it's not that different, but you'll see. I'm going to hit E to extrude and accept. And instead of hitting S and pulling in, I'm going to hit Alt S, and I'm going to pull it in to give it some thickness. As I do that, I start to get some weird coloration here. It just means some of my polys are not facing outside. So I'm going to deselect and then A to select it all and go Control N. And we're back in business. Control S and save. So far, so good. Now, we're going to add a subdivision surface to this of 2, and it's going to look like a king's crown. Let's add smoothing. So we're going to work on this. Let's go to edit mode, and I'm going to add an edge loop right to the top and right to the bottom of every one of these little prong-like things. All right, there may be a little bit of pinching towards the bottom, but hopefully it's not going to be overly noticeable. And this takes a little bit of time, but we got to do it. Okay, we're getting there. This is about the 3rd time I modeled this microphone. The first time I did it a couple nights ago, my computer crashed, and right in the middle of it, and I lost it. And then I did it yesterday, and I posted it, and like I said, I had some stuff wrong. I'm not saying that this one is going to be exactly like a Shure SM58, but it's just sort of my version of it for fun. Okay, let's go to object mode. Let's see what we got. Cool. All right, let's do a little bit more work here. Let's add an edge loop, Control R right here near the top. Let's add another one right down here. Sharpen that up a little bit. Let's add another one right here. Sharpen that up a bit, and one down there. And we should be good to go. Very nice. Now, let's Alt H and bring that back. See how it's looking. Okay. Let's take this piece. Now it's going to vary from the diagram a little bit. Let's move this up a bit. Nah, that's good. That's where I want it. So I'm going to move this down a little bit. I'm going to do that. And I think I'm going to come into this. Let's turn off the subdivision surface for a minute. Let's look at this edge. I wonder if I can scale this in a bit. Let's see how that goes. Yeah, that's what I want. Turn that back on. Oh, it didn't go very far, did it? All right, I'll leave the subdivision surface on. Actually, turn it off so I can get it. Find the edge and turn it back on. And we'll bring it in like that. Okay, that's cool. That's good. Not gonna worry about the inside of it too much. How are we doing? Okay. Let's bring in a circle. Bring it up near the top. Scale it in so it's sort of inside these, but we're touching them a little bit. Edit mode, F to make face, E to extrude, and I'm going to pull it down a little bit like that. You're going to notice some discoloration. Polys are flipped, so Control N. And then we grab this underside, I to inset, a little bit E to extrude. I'm going to pull this all the way down, even through the dots. Now, I think I want to taper this. I think I'm going to taper the whole thing. All right, because this part's tapered, so I'm going to taper it, and I'll do it right there. Let's add modifier, simple deform, choose taper, and you can see it's tapering in this way. I want it to go the other way, so I'm going to pull this way like that, but not outside the dots. Okay, let's actually try bringing it up. I may have to adjust that taper. I want it right about there. And let's have it a little bit less. Just like that. It's not very much, but that's okay. I'm happy with that. Okay, I don't need to apply that. I'm actually gonna, let's go back and hide that, and let's hide this as well. Have a look at that. Yeah, okay, so that's taper, that's fine. Okay. Let's try a subdivision surface on this, make it look a little bit nice and smooth. Looks crazy there, but we'll just come in here. Control R, we'll do that. We'll do that. We'll put one up there. Down here. And let's just move it up here for a second. Come under here. Grab this face and I'll just inset it a little bit and pull it down. That should take care of that. That's fine. That's going to be alright. And this top face isn't really going to be seen either. Let's do that. That should be okay. Smoothing. Alt-H, bring everything back. Just have a look at that. Okay, so that's up too high. There we go. Right around there. All right, let's. I'm gonna go ahead and save, and I'll be right back. I'm gonna add some color to this, and I'll do the top. Just so it's somewhat colorful in the viewport here, I'm going to add some materials. And this first one is going to be sort of a silvery color. I'll call this silver. And I'm going to choose settings, viewport color, my eyedropper, select that color. And that could be silver. And I'll make these, I'll make the whole base silver for now. We'll try it. But this part I'm going to make black, so I'm going to make a new material. And this is going to be black. And I'll choose my viewport. It's not pitch black or anything. And I want this to be black as well. And this is going to be black. I may have said that's going to be silver. I don't know. The dots are also going to be black. There's a lot of black, but that's the way it's going to look. Okay, if you want, I could, if I make that silver just for the moment, I just want to see how it looks through for the dots and how they turned out. If I have to move that a little bit. You know, that worked okay. But I mean, I'm going to make that black. Let's have a look at the bottom. Maybe, I don't know for sure, but maybe I could just choose this and this. Maybe Control L, I get everything else. Just that. What if I made that region black, just to see what it looks like on a sign? Does that look okay? Something. Maybe it should be silver, I don't know. It's kind of cool looking though. Alright, well anyhow, we're going to do the top part. And I don't think I'm going to do the mesh. I had a suggestion to use, I don't know, make wireframe or something like that. I've seen stuff like that, but I kind of don't feel like doing that. I just want to do it this way. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in a circle and scale it down a little ways. It's going to fit in there. Go to edit mode, have to make a face, E to extrude, and then bring it up. And I'm going to hit I to inset like that. And bring this down. No, I'm not going to do that yet. I'm going to do, what am I going to do? Maybe, how about actually I scale that out a bit. I'll do another inset. I'll bring that down like that. Let's have a look at putting an edge loop here and definitely down there. Although I may want to lengthen it. And let's try a subdivision surface. I know it's going to shrink up quite a bit, but okay, let's scale this into Z like this. Put it down here. Let's smooth it, and let's work on. Whoops. Let's work on that. Let's just see how smooth that is. Okay, that's not exactly what I want. Control plus to go out a little bit further. Control plus to go out a bit further. I'll bring that up. Let's scale that out a bit more. And I'll just take the middle piece and I'll bring it down. Yeah, I think I want more like that. And let's scale it in the Z though a bit more. Push it down. I know it doesn't look exactly like the microphone, but hopefully it'll pass. Everyone will know, hey, oh, that's a microphone. And then if you wanted to, you could put like a little light on it or something. I'll put a little light there. Just really simple. Circle. It's up there. No problem. Let's rotate X90 and pull it out. I believe that's the front. Yes. We'll scale it right down. Nice and small. Just zoom in with the period key. Have to make a face, E to extrude, bring it out, Control B to bevel back, roll your mouse up a bunch of times. All right, push it in, smooth it. Let's have a look. All right, and come over to materials, make a new material, just make it green or something. That's quite green. That kind of thing. Anyhow, so now what I'll do is I'm going to just A to select it all and rotate X -90 and bring it down. We'll Shift S cursor selected, get the cursor there, and just choose a position you like. These might be sticking out a little bit much, and let's say you like that, and then I would just go bring up the size and do like an OpenGL render. All right, you have that picture there. Let's try another one. We can see the dots a bit more. I don't know if we can see the dots. No, that's okay. Just choose the position that you like. Okay, so there you go. There's my Shure SM57.